What's up in War Eagle War Report family? You got Ike Jones back with another morning drop. And today, Peyton Thorne is more confident out there during fall camp, and his teammates are taking note of it. We got to talk about it. Y'all know how we do right here, War Report style. Let's drop it on them.
You are now listening to the War Report. Drop.
Morning drop. It is August the 7th, a Wednesday morning. We're here talking a little bit more about fall camp. Hopefully, everybody is off to a great start this week. It seems as if Peyton Thorne is off to a great start right here during fall camp for Auburn football. And his teammates are taking note of the difference in the confidence that he's coming in and playing with. During the media availability that happened on Tuesday, the players were out there talking, a couple of players in specific, Sam Jackson, the transfer over from Cal, now playing wide receiver, Damari Austin, and Rivaldo Fairweather were all present during that media availability and all talked about the difference that they can see with Peyton Thorne and his ability to kind of process everything and the confidence that they have in his ability to deliver. So their full comments are out on a video on the channel right now, so you can go over there and check that out. But I do want to play a couple of things from a couple of things that the players but I do want to play a couple of clips from some of the things that they said, starting off with Rivaldo Fairweather and a little bit of Damari Austin.
And just Peyton, he's really comfortable back there. Everybody knows what's going on. We got Coach Nick's coming, but Coach Freeze and his offense, just Peyton knows everything that's going on. So when he knows what's going on, he's more comfortable to know the right checks, know the right reads to make, and yeah, offense gonna be something to look out for this year.
I just feel like we're a whole lot more confident. Like everybody across the board, we got pieces that receiver. Peyton's feeling a lot more confident. I mean, I was just saying today, like he threw a ball today. I was like, oh my God, Peyton's so good. Like I just can't wait for y'all to see that side of him, and we're gonna have a lot of fun this year.
So both Rivaldo Fairweather and Damari Austin talking about the confidence that the team and the offense has, and specifically in the confidence that Peyton Thorne now has in this offense coming into fall camp this year, and a noticeable difference that it's made in the way that they feel about how things are going to progress on offense this season. Really, when you dissect the things that they brought up, and also I'll play some comments from Sam Jackson here in just a minute. But when you dissect the things that they're saying, there's really some overarching themes that are recurring in the conversation about that. And I specifically wanted to dive into these because you heard them talk about the difference in the scheme, right? And when we talk about scheme differences, we're talking about the adaptation of what Coach Hugh Freeze and Coach Nix want to incorporate into the offense, and how comfortable everyone feels with just kind of the continuity that they're hearing from the head coach and the offensive coordinator. You know, that's something that we've talked about plenty of times before. There didn't seem to be a comfortable way that they went about installs and how they wanted to approach scenarios, and it made for them having a lot of confusion going into fall camp. Even, you know, Peyton Thorne really just getting there on what they wanted to do from an execution standpoint, and it put them behind the eight ball trying to get out there and figure things out for fall camp last season. So that confidence in just what we're trying to do, right, is something that seems as if the players have all said, we've got that this season. We understand what it is that we're trying to accomplish. And Coach Hugh Freeze has been more involved, right? You hear comments from Coach Hugh Freeze about how often he's meeting with Peyton Thorne. That's not something you really heard last year. Really, when you talk to players last year, Coach Hugh Freeze wasn't around as much, right? He was really out there actively on the recruiting trail, and he's offloaded some of those duties. And listen, they're doing a fabulous job of executing his vision on the recruiting portion. So clearly, he doesn't have to step into that for it to keep going. But he's been more active in the offense this year. Particularly, he's been more active with Peyton Thorne and getting his understanding of what it is that he wants to accomplish. You heard comments from him in his initial address to the press starting fall camp about Peyton understands where it is that he wants him to go with the football and what to do in certain scenarios. It's just about the execution of that during scrimmages, which we haven't seen a scrimmage yet. So I am looking forward to seeing how that translates to scrimmage time. But the confidence is there in Peyton Thorne and his ability to execute those things. The next big thing that I heard when listening to players talk during that session is his understanding of where to go with the football. Again, kind of echoing what Coach Hugh Freeze said of like he understand Peyton Thorne understands where it is I want him to be with the football. We saw a lot of times last year, a lot of hesitation from Peyton Thorne about where he needed to go with the football. And there were guys that were open early. And this was actually another theme that we heard last year. Coach Hugh Freeze coming into post game press conferences talking about Peyton just needing to get rid of the football. There were opportunities for him to be able to deliver the football to open receivers if he understood where his eyes needed to be and getting through those reads and those progressions a little bit quicker. And now it seems as if he understands that a little bit better based upon the looks that the defense is giving him. I really want to get into the comments from Sam Jackson here in just a moment, just to kind of illustrate that a little bit more deeply. But where he needs to go with the football is something it seems as if Peyton Thorne has gotten a better handle on so far leading into fall camp. And then the last thing that you hear from the players is really about the difference in the wide receiver room. The wide receiver room seems as if that is a big difference for him because he has more confidence. Peyton Thorne, more confidence in the guys that he's throwing the football to, partially because it feels as if those guys know where they need to be. That goes back to the scheme confidence, and partially because they're kind of erasers. You hear me talking about the term, you want a guy that's an eraser, a guy that can make up for mistakes. Even if I don't know exactly where to go with the football, I know where my one-on-ones are going to exist based upon pre-snap reads, and I can get to the back of my drop with confidence and just say, hey, let me put this up for grabs for so and so, the Cam Coleman's, Perry Thompsons of the world out there. And they're going to go make a play for me. Rivaldo Fairweather, they're going to go make a play for me. So I might not be right in my read, but I am going to get to the back of my drop, be confident, and let it go and hope my guys can go out there and make a play. And those guys are the types of receivers that can go out there and execute and make those plays for Peyton Thorne. So that's a good thing to be able to hear about the progression of the offense. But hopefully it turns into continued confidence as we start to see them get into some of the things for fall camp scrimmages. But listen, none of the things that we're talking about are going to matter until it's time for the action to happen. And people are going to be skeptics of whether or not Peyton Thorne can do this during the season, right? I hear or I see the term, I should say, Peyton Thorne being a practice hero. And I'm not sure that that's accurate, right? I don't know that the practice hero mantra is very accurate for Peyton Thorne. But we'll talk about that. But before we get into all of those things, I definitely want to give a shout out to the sponsor of the Morning Drop and every Morning Drop, Rogue Shop. Make sure you all head out to rogueshop.com. Use code RAPPORT when you do. If you have any issues with sleep, stress, anxiety, pain relief, Rogue Shop's got a remedy there for you. Make sure you head over there again. Use code RAPPORT to get a little something off of your purchase at America's #1 online dispensary. That is rogueshop.com. Peyton Thorne is not feeling stressed right now. And I talked about before we went into that break, the narrative that he's a practice hero, right? And I don't really know where that comes from. Now, what I would say about Peyton Thorne is not necessarily he's a practice hero. I would say he is more of um, a cerebral quarterback who does well on the board, right? Like he knows how to draw it up. He knows kind of the idea of what needs to be happening. But if we go back to last fall, we heard Coach Hugh Freeze talk about the struggles in the pressing that Peyton Thorne had during practice. So it wasn't that he performs so well during practice, so the coaches had confidence that he would turn it on in the game. It is actually the opposite. They didn't see him performing well in the games, but they realized he had more in him than what he was showing. So they hoped it would come for him, it would come along for him a little bit better during the games. So I don't think the practice hero moniker that people are throwing out there for Peyton Thorne is very accurate based upon what we know and what we've heard from both coaches and players about how Peyton Thorne was performing last year. What they have said is, he seems to be very vocal and very much of a leader in the locker room, and a guy who is going to go out there and understand kind of the cerebral part of that. And that's where I want to get into some of what Sam Jackson had to say about Peyton Thorne.
Last year, you seen Peyton in it wasn't Peyton. Like you go back to 2021, that's how Peyton is playing now, and he's just playing. It's just up more. But I think the main thing was the receiver room. Like we didn't have a lot of juice in the room, but now we got those guys, and now you see Peyton kind of flourish in that. Like you need guys around you. It's not like basketball. We can go and score 50. It's like a quarterback, which is one of the hardest positions in football, probably in the world, probably the hardest job in the world, to be honest. It's just like with a guy like Peyton, his cerebral part of it overrides all of the talent. Like, don't get me wrong, he's very talented. But Peyton knows where he's going with the ball. And it's like, if you don't have receivers that know, I need to get open on this play, it's an RPO, I need to run my fade and get my eyes back, Peyton is like, it makes the quarterback second guess. But now that you have guys like Cam, you got guys like Dre, you got guys like Rob, who know what it is, you know what I mean, who know that part of the game, it's easier for Peyton to get the ball there. Because Peyton knows where he's going with the ball every single time. But that's why, as a receiver, you need to know what Peyton's thinking. So you know I'm about to get this ball, or you know what coverage it is. So I need to run this route like this, or I need the tempo of it and stuff like that.
Sam Jackson talking about Peyton Thorne there, and he's stressing that Peyton understands what needs to be happening, but sometimes the hesitancy that he has shown or was showing last season was about he didn't feel as if the other guys knew what they were doing. And so because he lacked confidence in them getting to where they needed to be when they needed to be there, he was hesitant to pull the trigger on where he was supposed to go with the football. And we saw last season that, what a lot of people would term the deer in the headlights look for Peyton Thorne. I think a lot of that had to do with some of the things that Sam Jackson is trying to talk about there. Now, what I don't want this to turn into is an excuse-making thing for Peyton Thorne. I've been noted as saying, if Peyton knows where he needs to go with the football, be right and let it be evident to everybody, hey, the reason why this throw was off is because I was throwing it to a spot and my guy wasn't there, right? Not saying put the ball in harm's way, but go out there and execute the offense the way that you know that you need to, and make sure that everybody understands that you're going to be right as often as possible. And that helps the confidence of the receivers to know if I get to my spot, Peyton's going to get me the football. There has to be a give and take in that. And I think last year there just wasn't enough continuity in that way within the receiver room towards the quarterback. Hopefully this season that's been solved for Coach Hugh Freeze in this offense, and Peyton Thorne now has more confidence in where his guys are going to be and where he needs to deliver the football because of the things we just talked about, because there is more continuity in the communication down from head coach, offensive coordinator to players about what the plan is. There is a little bit more of where Peyton Thorne understands that plan and understands what he needs to do to distribute the football to the right person at the right time. And he has more confidence in the guys that are catching the passes on the opposite end. That gives you a lot of hope about what the offense can be. And then to hear the players echo that, because if we're being honest, we didn't hear a lot of that from the players last year during fall camp. So hopefully we'll get to a place where we can see it during a scrimmage, and then it will manifest on Saturdays, and we can start to have more confidence in what's going to be happening from an offensive standpoint. But that's it, man. I want to hear what you guys think. What are your thoughts on what the players are saying? Is this just lip service? Because I know there are some people who are going to think this is just, what are they supposed to say? Of course, they're not going to come out there and say Peyton Thorne's playing like crap. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this, because I'm very interested in what the Auburn fan base thinks about the future of the quarterback position in 2024 with Peyton Thorne at the helm, because it's clear he's going to be the guy. Do you have the same confidence that Coach Hugh Freeze and the players seem to have in Peyton Thorne? Talk about it right down there in the comment section. Before you get out of here, make sure that you like the video and subscribe to the channel. This is the Morning Drop, brought to you by the Rogue Shop over on the Auburn Express. If you're listening to this on podcast, give us that 5-star review. We definitely appreciate it. Again, share the content with somebody out there. We'll be back at you tonight with the midweek report. But until then, and as always, War Eagle.